Good morning, aspirants. It's 10th of October today, and I welcome you all on today's series of What to Read in the Hindu newspaper. I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗆𝗃 𝗔𝗍𝗆, Senior Mentor at Prepp IAS. While going through the articles, we will not only see its relevance with regard to prelims and mains, but we'll also try and interlink it with other GS papers as well. I'm here to align your newspaper reading as a part of our GS syllabus. So let's get started. The very first article that catches our attention in today's paper is about India inks Euro 350 million deal with UK to buy missiles. Now, when we map this particular article in our syllabus, this will fall under GS paper 2 under the theme IR, bilateral relationships, and also GS paper 3, defense technology and indigenization that we are focusing on. So from prelims perspective, the arenas that we have to explore while going through this particular article will include LLM models such as lightweight multi-role missiles. It's manufactured in Belfast and it's knowing about its origin and features. Why India is has signed such a deal. India-UK defense framework, I2U2, defense industrial corridors that India has established, how many of them are there, and also where they are located. Afterwards, this can even be linked with education diplomacy as well, because a large chunk of Indian students go for their higher studies as a prime destination at UK as well. And also, it can be linked with huge diaspora connect that we have at UK. So in this manner, this particular article is to be holistically seen, read, and revised. The next important article is on editorials page. As today is 10th of October, known as World Mental Health Day, there are several important articles that talks about mental health. So, that article is to be read and revised. Its relevance, why it is important. So here, India's mental health crisis, the cries and scars. This is relevant for GS paper 2 under the theme social justice, wherein health vulnerable sections can be mapped as a part of our GS syllabus. This can even be interlinked with while giving an argument for our essay as well and ethics GS paper 4 as well. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about India is going through a silent mental health epidemic. Suicide data is there from NCRB, treatment gaps that we are seeing, policy inertia that is we are seeing on ground. So all these arenas can be seen and explored with substantial data that I have already underlined in this particular article, can be read and revised. Afterwards, Mental Healthcare Act 2017, it's a right-based framework that has been done. It needs to be revised. National Suicide Prevention Strategy 2022. This is to be read and revised. There are several schemes that has been launched by government to provide mental health cures such as Telemanus, Manodarpan, district mental health care programs. We need to know about the NCRB data on suicide. The recent one is of 2023. From mains perspective, we need to know about whether we have done enough with regard to India's mental health infrastructure and interministerial coordination that is required to cater to such prime needs in current India's health policy. Afterwards, mental illness is directly linked to SDG goal as well. So SDG 3.4, which includes productivity, that can be linked. If a balanced mental, physical, and emotional health will only encourage a person's fullest form of productivity. So that's how we can link it with. In ethics paper, we can link with empathy, compassion, and institutional care in governance as a model can be linked while going through this particular article. And another important article just below this also talks about mental health response that is required, and several important points has been quoted over here. So we can refer this article as well. I have underlined several themes and the important pointers that we have to keep in mind while going through this particular article and the theme mental health altogether. Now, the next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention talks about tusks and tensions. When we map this particular article, it will fall under GS paper 2, federalism, and GS paper 3, environment and conservation laws. The key theme that has been discussed over this particular article primarily talks about center-state friction over wildlife protection powers. Kerala wants to have autonomy under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. While center, they want to have a centralized law altogether. From prelims perspective, we need to know about several important provisions of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, wherein different schedules have been demarcated by putting several important animals into it. For instance, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 are there important. Vermin as a concept we need to know. What is Section 62, wherein power to declare animals as vermin falls under state government or central government, or also there are constitutional angle as well, wherein concurrent list, Article 254 and presidential assent requires. All these things can be analyzed while going through this particular article. Moving on, the next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention is about electoral reforms, as the ongoing election season in Bihar brought a lot of attention with regard to electoral reforms. So when we see this, this will fall under GS paper 2, polity, elections and electoral reforms. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about Election Commission Special Intensive Revision, that is SIR. It is a way forward to improving electoral roll accuracy before general election. So this can even be quoted as one of the major electoral reforms as well. So for prelims perspective, this article is to be seen through the lens of knowing about RPA Act 1950 and its section about Section 21 that deals with preparation and revision of electoral rolls. Afterwards, we need to know about the several forms that has been there under election process, such as registration of electoral rules 1960. Then there is Aadhaar linkage to electoral rolls as per Supreme Court's directive only. From mains perspective, the arenas where we can explore our knowledge is on, can electoral rolls as a foundation, can it be seen as a foundation for free and fair elections? Then balancing transparency with voter inclusivity. Afterwards, institutional integrity and trust in democratic processes can be improved if such electoral reforms could be the way forward in the future elections as well. Moving on, the next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention talks about judicial officers with 7 years of experience in bar can become a district judge. So now when we map this particular article, this will fall under GS paper 2, polity, judiciary, separation of power and constitution. So the key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about Supreme Court has expanded eligibility for district judge appointment process, wherein inclusion of judicial officers with prior bar experience can be declared as a district judge. So the prelims perspective, this particular article is relevant from knowing the angles such as Article 233(2), wherein appointment of district judge has been discussed, knowing the eligibility of appointment as a district judge, such as 7 years of prior advocate experience or combined experience as per the interpretation by several judgments has been the case. Then we need to know the actual structure of lower judiciary or subordinate judiciary for our prelims angles. From mains perspective, how this will even help us in decreasing the workload at lower judiciary, wherein appointment is streamlined and made easy. Afterwards, efficiency and pendency reduction could be one such factor. Judicial reforms through interpretation and institutional rejuvenation could be one such angle that can be explored while going through this particular article. And independence of judiciary, of course, could be one of the angles wherein we can see this particular article as a part of our mains syllabus. Now, the next important article that is there in the paper and that catches our attention for our exam perspective talks about retrospective age limits under surrogacy law violate reproductive autonomy, says Supreme Court. So this is relevant for GS paper 2 polity, wherein rights and laws, governance, health and family is being discussed. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about Supreme Court upholds reproductive autonomy. They disallowing retrospective application of age limits prescribed under surrogacy law of 2021. From prelims perspective, we need to revise upon surrogacy regulation of 2021, key provisions, its eligibility criteria, Article 21, right to reproductive autonomy, key cases with regard to it, such as 𝗗𝗍𝗶𝗆 versus State of Andhra Pradesh, wherein right to mental health could be an angle this can be explored upon. From mains perspective, this particular article is to be seen through the lens of analyzing whether reproductive right as a part of personal liberty under Article 21 is there or not. Judicial activism in upholding bodily autonomy and gender justice. Ethical and legal aspects of assisted reproductive technologies. In this manner, this particular article is to be completely read, revised, and unfurled upon. Now, the last important article for the day is about India to launch Red List survey to assess extinction risk to plant and animal. This is relevant for GS paper 3, environment, biodiversity conservation. The key theme that has been discussed in this particular article talks about India's first national scale biodiversity threat assessment aligned with IUCN standards. This has been tried to discuss in this particular article. From prelims perspective, the various arenas which we need to revise and interlink with is IUCN red list categories that talks about critically endangered, vulnerable, etc. The criteria for declaring such groups. We need to know Conservation of Biodiversity Act, Kunming and Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework that is there, Zoological and Biological Survey of India and its reports being mentioned, National Red Data Book, which is first of its kind, and that's cost around 95 crore project. This is to be read and revised. For mains perspective, this particular article is relevant by the angle of importance of scientific data in conservation policy. This can be even linked with India's commitment under CBD, SDG 15, that is life on land. And also we can link it with discussion related to institutional strengthening for biodiversity governance. This is all from my end from today's Hindu newspaper.